How you doing, everybody? My name is Dr. Sammy BAYA. Please welcome back to my YouTube channel. Short story about a sexual narcissist. How to spot a sexual narcissist. That's the title of this video. Spotting a sexual narcissist can be challenging because they often appear charming, confident, and magnetic at first. However, over time, their behavior can reveal patterns that are characteristic of narcissism, especially in intimate relationships. Now, I'm gonna give you key signs to look for in identifying a sexual narcissist, and then I'll give you some stories, real life stories about sexual narcissists. Now, number one way of spotting a sexual narcissist, they have this excessive focus on their appearance and sexual appeal. A sexual narcissist is often obsessed with their looks and how they are perceived by others, particularly in terms of physical attraction. They may frequently talk about their own attractiveness or make sure others notice how desirable they are. Now, they might put a lot of effort into maintaining their appearance, but it often feels more about seeking validation than a genuine desire to look good for themselves. Again, the sexual narcissists use others to boost their ego. They'll often engage in relationships or sexual encounters to boost their own self-esteem. They view partners as tools for validating their attractiveness or sexual prowess, rather than as people with their own needs and emotions. You might feel like you're more of a trophy than a genuine partner, and the focus will often be on their pleasure and satisfaction rather than mutual connection. Now, sexual narcissists, they lack empathy or consideration for others' needs. They typically show little interest in their partner's feelings or emotional needs. They may be very self-centered, expecting their partners to be there for them, but offering little in return. If they only care about their own pleasure during intimate moments and seem uninterested in your emotional or physical well-being, then this is a major red flag. Now, sexual narcissists have this manipulative or controlling behavior. They try to manipulate or control situations to maintain their status or sense of superiority. This could include using guilt, flattery, or even gaslighting to keep you hooked or make you feel dependent on their attention and approval. If they make you feel like you owe them admiration, or if you feel pressured into things you're not comfortable with to keep their attention, then they may be exhibiting narcissistic tendencies. Sexual narcissists have this constant need for admiration and validation. They thrive on constant validation and admiration, especially in the sexual arena. They want to hear that they are the best lover, the most attractive person, or that they are the most impressive partner you've ever had. They may fish for compliments constantly or react negatively when you don't provide enough praise or attention. Their self-worth seems to be entirely dependent on what others think of them. As sexual narcissists, they lack genuine emotional intimacy. They tend to avoid true emotional intimacy. They are only interested in the surface level aspect of a relationship, like sex or physical attraction, but they are unwilling to open up or engage in deeper emotional connection. Now, if they are unwilling to share their true feelings or avoid vulnerable conversations, it may be a sign that they are more interested in superficial interactions than in forming a real bond. Now, a sexual narcissist has this inability to handle criticism. They react poorly to any form of criticism, especially regarding their sexual or physical appeal. They may become defensive, angry, or dismissive when their ego is bruised. If they seem overly sensitive to any comments that challenge their attractiveness, sexual abilities, or desirability, then it's an indication that their self-esteem is fragile and they rely heavily on external validation. Sexual narcissists have this exploitative behavior in relationships. They often see relationships or sexual encounters as a means to an end, especially to feed their ego or get what they want. This means they may only invest in relationships as long as they are receiving something in return, whether that's admiration, sex, or status. If you feel used, or if you notice that the person pulls away once their needs are no longer being met, then they may be a sexual narcissist. Sexual narcissists have this entitlement and superiority. They feel entitled to special treatment, or that they believe they're superior to others. They believe that they deserve admiration, sex, or affection simply because of their attractiveness or charm. So if they expect you to cater to their desires or feel like they should always be the center of attention, then this entitlement is a strong indicator of narcissism. A sexual narcissist may lie or manipulate the truth to maintain their image or get what they want. They might exaggerate their sexual experiences or tell half-truths to appear more desirable. If they often exaggerate or lie about past relationships, sexual conquests, or their own abilities, then this could be a sign of their narcissistic tendencies. So, what are the key takeaways here? You need to listen to your gut. If you feel like you are in a relationship where you are constantly being used, manipulated, or made to feel inadequate, then these that I've mentioned may be signs of sexual narcissism. So watch for patterns. A sexual narcissist often exhibits behaviors that consistently across relationships. They exhibit these behaviors that I've mentioned in this video consistently across relationships, and not just once or twice. Again, you need to set boundaries. Protect yourself by establishing clear boundaries and be aware of your own worth in any relationship. A sexual narcissist may try to manipulate you into thinking your needs are less important than theirs. So when you recognize a sexual narcissist early on, it can help you to protect your emotional and physical well-being. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, care, and shared emotional connection, not on ego and manipulation. Now, let me give you a short story about a sexual narcissist. Once upon a time, there was a man named Ethan who prided himself on his appearance, charm, and charisma. He was a master of seduction, using his good looks and smooth words to captivate anyone who crossed his path. But beneath the surface, Ethan was a sexual narcissist. His self-worth was entirely dependent on the validation he received from others, especially in intimate encounters. Ethan thrived in relationships where his partners worshipped him, constantly feeding his ego with compliments and admiration. He would indulge in passionate affairs only to grow disinterested when the initial excitement faded. To him, sex wasn't about connection. It was about conquest. Each partner was just another trophy in his collection, another validation for his fragile self-esteem. One day, Ethan met Maya, a woman who seemed different from the others. She wasn't immediately impressed by his looks or flattered by his flirtations. Maya was intelligent, self-assured, and knew what she wanted. Ethan, intrigued by her resistance, saw it as a challenge, something to conquer. As their relationship unfolded, Ethan attempted to charm her with the same tricks he had used on countless others. He would send her seductive texts, take her out to expensive dinners, and shower her with attention when it suited him. But Maya wasn't easily swayed. She saw through his facade, recognizing that his affection was self-serving, not genuine. The more Maya resisted, the more Ethan found himself obsessed with her. He couldn't understand why she didn't see him as the prize he believed himself to be. Eventually, he grew frustrated, but instead of confronting his own insecurities, he blamed Maya for not falling for him the way others had. So, one evening after a particularly heated argument about his selfish behavior, Maya finally spoke the truth he had been avoiding. You think sex and love are the same thing, but they're not. That's what you think. You think sex and love are the same thing, but they're not. You want admiration, but you're too afraid to actually connect with someone. You are only interested in yourself. Maya said these words to Ethan. So for the first time, Ethan was faced with the reality of his narcissism. The words hit him harder than any criticism he had ever received. His obsession with his own reflection had made him blind to what truly mattered. That is empathy, vulnerability, and the ability to connect with another person beyond superficial pleasure. So, as Maya walked away, Ethan was left alone, staring at the shattered image of himself in the mirror. He realized that for all his conquest and admirers, he had never known true intimacy. And in that moment, he understood the loneliness of being a sexual narcissist. But whether Ethan would change or continue to chase empty validation was a question only time would answer. So the story of Ethan, the sexual narcissist, carries several moral lessons and teachings, offering insights into the consequences of unhealthy relationships and the importance of self-awareness. So let me give you some key takeaways from Maya and Ethan's story. Now, self-worth should not depend on others' validation. That's one moral lesson. When you base your self-worth on the approval or admiration of others, you are setting yourself up for emptiness and disappointment. True self-esteem comes from within, not from external praise or attention. So the teaching here is that cultivate a healthy sense of self that is grounded in your values, actions, and personal growth. External validation should be a supplement, not a foundation for self-worth. So the other moral lesson, or the other key takeaway from this Maya and Ethan story, is that true connection requires vulnerability. Relationships built on superficial attraction or ego do not lead to true emotional intimacy. Vulnerability, empathy, and emotional openness are key components of meaningful connections. The teaching is that seek relationships where both partners are open, authentic, and willing to share their true selves. True intimacy is not about performance, but about mutual trust and understanding. So, narcissism also creates loneliness. Narcissism, especially sexual narcissism, leads to loneliness because it centers around self-gratification rather than genuine connection. The pursuit of admiration and power over others leaves you isolated and unfulfilled. So the teaching here is that avoid prioritizing your ego or image at the cost of deeper, more authentic relationships. Learning to listen, understand, and care for the others is what fosters genuine closeness. Now, self-reflection is also crucial for personal growth. That's another key takeaway. The moral here is that Ethan's moment of self-awareness, when confronted with his narcissism, is a turning point that highlights the power of introspection. Without examining our own behavior, we may continue down an unhealthy paths. So the teaching is that regular self-reflection is vital for personal growth. Acknowledge your flaws and areas for improvement and be open to feedback from others. Growth comes when we take responsibility for our actions. You can't control others' feelings. That's another key takeaway. The moral here is that Ethan's obsession with Maya's resistance shows how futile it is to try and control or manipulate others into adoring you. People are entitled to their own feelings and responses, and trying to change them only creates frustration and resentment. The teaching is that accept that you cannot make others feel a certain way and focus on fostering mutual respect and understanding instead of trying to win people over. Healthy relationships are built on mutual care and consent. The other key takeaway is that love isn't about conquest. So viewing love or sex as a conquest or a game to win undermines the real value of these experiences. Love is about connection, care, and respect, not about proving your worth through domination. So the teaching is that approach relationships with respect, empathy, and willingness to nurture the bond between you and your partner. Love is a partnership, not a one-sided pursuit of validation. Then the other key takeaway from this story, the Ethan and Maya story, is that empathy and respect are the foundation of healthy relationships. Without empathy, relationships become transactional rather than meaningful. Maya's ability to call out Ethan's behavior in an honest and compassionate way helped him realize the truth about his actions. So, the teaching here is that practice empathy in all your relationships. Try to understand the other person's perspective and treat them with respect. Genuine relationships are built on mutual care and understanding. Now, what strategies are used by sexual narcissists? What are the strategies that are used by sexual narcissists? Sexual narcissists often use a variety of strategies to manipulate and control others in relationships, particularly when it comes to sexual and emotional dynamics. These strategies are designed to feed their ego, maintain power, and keep their partners under their influence. So, in this video, I'm going to give you some common strategies used by sexual narcissists. Number one is love bombing. At the start of a relationship, a sexual narcissist may overwhelm their partner with excessive affection, praise, and attention. This is love bombing. And this is where they shower their partner with compliments, gifts, and emotional declarations to quickly gain their trust and admiration. Now, the purpose of this strategy used by sexual narcissists is that it helps to make the partner feel special and adored, ensuring that they become emotionally invested. Once their partner is attached, the narcissist can manipulate the relationship for their own gain. The other common strategy used by sexual narcissists is gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where the narcissist distorts the truth, denies facts, or manipulates situations to make their partner question their perception of reality. In the context of sex, a narcissist might twist a partner's feelings, needs, or consent, convincing them that they are overreacting or too sensitive. So the purpose here is gaslighting creates confusion and self-doubt, making it easier for the narcissist to maintain control over the relationship and prevent the partner from asserting boundaries or calling out inappropriate behavior. Now, the other strategy is exploiting insecurities. A sexual narcissist will often identify their partner's vulnerabilities and use them to their advantage. They might point out flaws or weaknesses in their partner's appearance or sexual performance to make them feel insecure, and then offer false reassurance or compliments to regain control. Now, the purpose of this strategy of exploiting insecurities is that by exploiting their partner's insecurities, the narcissist keeps them dependent and seeking validation from them. This ensures that their partner remains emotionally hooked and less likely to challenge the narcissist's behavior. Now, the other strategy used by sexual narcissists is withholding affection or sex, that is sexual deprivation. Withholding affection or sex. This strategy is whereby a sexual narcissist deliberately withholds affection, attention, or sex as a means of control. And this can be done to punish a partner for not meeting their needs or to create emotional turmoil, making the partner more eager to please them. By depriving their partner of intimacy, the narcissist reinforces their power in the relationship, making the partner more desperate for validation and more likely to comply with their demands. The other strategy used by sexual narcissists is triangulation. Triangulation is when a narcissist involves a third party, such as an ex-partner, someone from their social circle, or even someone they are flirting with, to create jealousy, insecurity, or competition within the relationship. They may mention how others are attracted to them or make their partner feel like they are not the only one vying for their affection. Now, this tactic of triangulation keeps the partner on edge, feeling insecure and uncertain, while the narcissist maintains a sense of superiority and control. It also ensures that the partner remains dependent on the narcissist's approval. Now, the other strategy is about love withdrawal or silent treatment. If the narcissist feels threatened or is not getting the attention or validation they crave, they may use the silent treatment or withdraw affection entirely. Now, this sudden coldness can leave the partner feeling confused, desperate to regain the narcissist's approval. Now, the purpose of this strategy is the silent treatment serves as a form of punishment, manipulating the partner into changing their behavior or to win back the narcissist's favor, all while maintaining control over the emotional dynamic. The other strategy used by sexual narcissists is over-complimenting and flattery. A sexual narcissist may excessively flatter their partner, making them feel special or superior. They might constantly praise their partner's appearance or sexual abilities to keep their ego inflated and maintain the power dynamic. Now, the purpose of this strategy is that it creates an emotional bond where the partner becomes reliant on the narcissist's approval and affection. It also reinforces the narcissist's sense of self-importance by making the partner feel indebted to them. Yes, the other strategy used by sexual narcissists is minimizing or dismissing boundaries. A sexual narcissist often disregards or minimizes their partner's boundaries, whether sexual, emotional, or personal. They may pressure their partner into situations that make them uncomfortable or ignore their partner's needs for respect and consent. So the purpose of this strategy is that by violating boundaries, the narcissist reinforces their control in the relationship, making the partner feel like their own needs and feelings are secondary to the narcissist's desires. Now, the other strategy used by sexual narcissists is feigning vulnerability. To further control their partner, sexual narcissists may feign vulnerability or appear emotionally needy. They might create a facade of being misunderstood, lonely, or emotionally fragile, which puts the responsibility on their partner to care for them. Now, this tactic shifts the emotional burden to the partner, making them feel responsible for the narcissist's happiness, often leading to overcompensation and codependency. The other strategy used by sexual narcissists is shifting blame. When their partner confronts them about their behavior, sexual narcissists will often deflect blame. They'll make the partner feel guilty or responsible for the issues in the relationship. They may accuse the partner of being too sensitive or too demanding when confronted about manipulation or mistreatment. And the purpose here of this shifting blame is that shifting blame allows the narcissist to avoid accountability and maintain their self-image. So the partner ends up feeling responsible for problems they did not create. The other strategy used by sexual narcissists is sexualization of everything. A sexual narcissist often tries to sexualize ordinary situations to maintain control. They may bring up sexual comments or jokes during moments that aren't approval or aren't appropriate, or make everything about their sexual attractiveness. So the purpose of this strategy of sexualization of everything is that this constant sexualization can wear down a partner's emotional defenses, keeping them focused on the narcissist's desires and reinforcing the narcissist's dominance in the relationship. The other strategy used by sexual narcissists is creating emotional dependency. Sexual narcissists often make their partners feel emotionally dependent on them by positioning themselves as the only source of love, validation, and sexual satisfaction. They may make their partner feel like no one else will love or desire them in the same way. Now, the purpose of this strategy is that emotional dependency traps the partner in the relationship, as they feel they can't find anyone else who will fulfill their needs as the narcissist claims to. Now, how do you protect yourself from a sexual narcissist? Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it's often worth listening to that gut feeling. The other way of protecting yourself is to set and enforce boundaries. Be clear about your limits and don't let them be violated. The other way of protecting yourself is don't fall for manipulation. Recognize gaslighting and other forms of psychological manipulation. Stay grounded in your own reality. The other way of protecting yourself is to seek support. Talk to trusted friends, family, or a therapist to help you navigate and understand the situation. Again, prioritize self-worth. Don't allow your self-esteem to become dependent on their praise or validation. Now, let me give you another short story about a female sexual narcissist and the moral lessons. Sophie was always, let's begin with the story now. Sophie was always the center of attention. She had the kind of beauty that turned heads and a charm that made people fall at her feet. For years, Sophie reveled in ability to captivate anyone with just a glance or a few well-chosen words. But behind the polished exterior, Sophie was a sexual narcissist. She valued herself based on how much others admired her, especially in romantic and sexual contexts. Sophie had been in countless relationships, but they all followed the same pattern. Intense flirtation, passionate encounters, and then once the initial thrill wore off, she'd lose interest. Sophie wasn't really looking for connection. She was looking for validation, and once she got it, she moved on to someone else. It wasn't about the other person, it was about her. One evening, Sophie met Lucas at a party. Lucas was intelligent, thoughtful, and incredibly kind. Everything Sophie typically ignored. But there was something different about Lucas. He didn't immediately fall for Sophie's charm. In fact, he seemed completely uninterested in Sophie's allure. For the first time, Sophie felt a flicker of vulnerability. Sophie couldn't stand the thought of someone not bending or someone not being enamored with her. So she turned on all her tricks. She complimented him endlessly. She flirted with him and made sure she was always at his side. Lucas, however, remained distant, never getting caught up in her web. Sophie found herself increasingly obsessed with him, desperate to be the one to finally break through his composure. Eventually, Lucas agreed to go out with Sophie, but during their date, something unexpected happened. Sophie tried to manipulate the situation, making sexual advances and pushing for deeper intimacy, but Lucas pulled back. He told her, "I'm not interested in playing games, Sophie. I'm looking for something real, something that's about both of us, not just you." For the first time in a long while, Sophie was taken aback. Her carefully constructed persona had no effect on Lucas. He wasn't impressed by her looks, her body, or her charm. He wanted something more than what Sophie was offering. The next few days, Sophie found herself thinking deeply about what Lucas had said. It was the first time anyone had treated her like she was just another person, not a trophy to be won. In her pursuit of validation and sexual conquest, she had ignored the very thing that made relationships meaningful, that is, mutual respect and connection. Though Sophie didn't change overnight, she began to realize that the emptiness she felt after each conquest was a reflection of her own insecurities. For the first time, she saw that true fulfillment wasn't about how many admirers she had or how many people were willing to sleep with her. It was about how she valued herself and how she treated others. Now, what are the moral lessons and teachings from this short story about Sophie and Lucas? Number one, true fulfillment comes from self-respect, not external validation. Sophie's constant search for approval from others left her feeling empty. The story teaches that relying on others for validation only breeds dissatisfaction. True fulfillment comes from within through self-acceptance and respect. The other thing is that relationships are about mutual connection, not just physical attraction. So Sophie focused solely on physical attraction and validation, ignoring the deeper aspects of a relationship. So the story reminds us that meaningful relationships are built on emotional connection, trust, and mutual respect, not just on sexual chemistry. The other lesson is that manipulation never leads to genuine love. Sophie used her charm and sexual appeal as a tool for control, but in the end, it was her manipulation that drove people away. The lesson here is that manipulation, whether emotional or physical, is never the foundation for a healthy relationship. Genuine love is built on honesty, trust, and care. Sophie's vulnerability when she encountered someone who wasn't interested in her superficial charms led her to self-reflection. So vulnerability here can be a strength. The story shows that allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, being honest about our needs and desires, is an essential part of forming deep, meaningful connections with others. Again, self-worth shouldn't depend on others' perceptions. Sophie's worth was tied to how others saw her, which ultimately left her feeling unfulfilled. The story teaches that our self-worth should not be contingent on others' admiration or approval, but on how we see and value ourselves. Again, breaking free from narcissism requires self-reflection. So Sophie's realization that she had been using others to fill a void within herself was a pivotal moment of growth. The moral lesson here is that self-awareness and reflection are necessary for breaking free from narcissistic tendencies and developing healthier relationships. So Sophie's journey is a reminder that true connection and happiness come from within and are built on mutual respect and understanding, not on surface level validation or manipulation. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've learned a thing or two. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you've not done so. And hey, feel free to drop me a text message on WhatsApp. Let's discuss about sexual narcissists. Let's discuss anything about narcissism. So my WhatsApp number is +254 then 0724569024. That's my WhatsApp number. My email address is drsammybaya@gmail.com. So feel free to get in touch with me. Let's discuss about narcissists. If you have a burning question, you have something that is bothering you about narcissists, please let's share. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.